Hello, friends. Among the many natural and man-made wonders of Georgia, the Katskhi Pillar holds a special place. This natural creation invokes a sense of awe. The pillar vaguely resembles the Greek Meteora, a Greek rock formation on top of which Orthodox monasteries were built. However, unlike Meteora, the Katskhi Pillar stands alone. There are many different churches in the world that, for one reason or another, are considered unique. There is a church without a single nail, a church on an island, a church made out of living trees, a church on a cliff. The church on top of the Katskhi Pillar is unique because it stands on a 40-meter monolith, which for many years was simply impossible to get to. Of course, like with all very unusual places, there are many legends surrounding it. I will tell you about one of them in today's video. The Katskhi Pillar was formed in prehistoric times. It was most likely formed as a result of a strong earthquake or a tectonic shift that leveled a 40 to 45 meter hill. The natural part of the hill had a flat top and remained standing as a kind of joke by Mother Nature. As soon as people settled in the area, the pillar caught their attention. From the very beginning, this natural wonder was associated with the Almighty and became a symbol of the occult. One legend about the formation of the Katskhi Pillar says that God liked this area so much that he decided to place Eden here. He commanded that the angels get to work. One was ordered to plant flowers, another fruit trees, and the third to take care of the animals. The angels created paradise, but a large stone came out of the ground. A huge motley snake settled under it. The Almighty looked at the new Eden and saw the snake. God's anger was great. He shook the bowels of the earth and filled the snake's nest with hot mud. Still, he could not calm down. His anger caused lava to pour out of where the snake's nest stood. It solidified in the air and became a stone pillar. Before the adoption of Christianity in Georgia, the pillar was revered by pagans. The Katskhi Pillar is sometimes referred to as the Pillar of Life. Maybe that is the case because people used to live on top of it. Maybe it is because the rock was considered a symbol of fertility and therefore of life in ancient times. In geological terms, the rock is a monolith, which is mainly made up of limestone. Due to natural processes, this giant piece of rock remained in splendid isolation. The surface area of the Katskhi Pillar is about 150 square meters. In addition to the Katskhi Pillar being a natural landmark in and of itself, you can also see a building on top of it. The Church of Saint Maxim the Confessor. The locals often refer to the church as the Fortress of Solitude. It is unknown who built it, but a message has been preserved which says something along the lines of, "I am a big sinner and I will build 2 houses here. One for God, the second for a monk." The church lies in the southwestern part of the cliff and is a very modest building. The main hall is only 3.5 by 4.5 meters. Today's building is a modern restoration of a ruined medieval church that was built from stone. It is a replica of the ancient building dated between the 9th and 10th century AD. Long before the advent of Christianity in Georgia, the Katskhi Pillar was a revered place among the locals. It was associated with the god of fertility. It was believed that it could bring a person closer to God. With the advent of Christianity, a small church was erected on top of the Katskhi Pillar. Services at the church continued until the conquest of the territories by the Ottoman Empire, as a result of which the church was abandoned. Next to the church stands a rectangular burial crypt measuring 1 by 2 meters. Archaeologists found the remains of 3 people inside. A wine cellar was also found on the top of the mountain with 8 large vessels inside. At the base of the pillar is an image of a cross, similar to medieval images found elsewhere in the country. There are several other buildings here, so it is considered to be an entire religious complex, albeit small in size. The top of the pillar can be reached only with the help of a suspended ladder, which was installed in 1944 during the first officially recorded ascent of the mountain. There is no information on how people used to reach the top before. Most likely, there was once a similar ladder. It is also unclear how the building materials and clay vessels were brought up. The names of the monks whose bones were found by members of the scientific expedition are also unknown. The first mention of the Katskhi Pillar and the church on top of it can be found in the records of the Georgian prince Vakhushti Bagrationi. In the 18th century, he attempted to reach the top of the pillar, but his attempts were unsuccessful. Full-fledged archaeological research took place between 1999 to 2009. During its course, scientists determined that the ruins on top of the pillar belonged to a medieval skeet founded in the 9th or 10th centuries AD. Inscriptions from the 13th century were also found, which confirmed that the skeet existed prior to that. In 1946, architect Vakhtang Tsinsadze suggested that the ruins found on the top of the rock were the remains of two buildings from the 5th and 6th centuries. But in 2006, it was proven that the buildings belonged to the 9th or 10th century. Religious services at the top of the Katskhi Pillar were revived in 1995, when the monk Maxim Kavtaradze from the neighboring city of Chiatura arrived here. Parishioners donated money for the restoration of the church. Between 2005 and 2009, the building on top of the cliff was restored with the support of the National Agency for Cultural Heritage Preservation of Georgia. In 2007, electricity was brought to the Katskhi Pillar. Today, the monastery on top has only a single monk, Father Maxim. The attraction is located away from the main tourist sites, so there are few visitors here. There is no entry fee, but it is virtually impossible to reach the top of the Katskhi Pillar. Previously, only men could travel to the top, but now access to the church is almost completely closed. Travelers say that it is, in theory, possible to reach the top, but you need a lot of permits and approvals. In general, tourists don't do this and prefer to inspect the church and the pillar from its base. Therefore, we can see what's going on at the top only in photographs. In order to have a clearer understanding of life on top of the pillar, a small museum was created at the bottom, which includes photographs and exhibits. Near the museum, there are guest rooms, a church, and a bathhouse. They are located a little further away from where the tourists congregate. In the middle of the yard is a Bolnisi cross on a stone and a chapel fused to the mountain. Anyone can enter it and put a candle on this special rock. Friends, that's all for today. Like the video and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.